This morning habit could triple your stroke risk after 65. If you're over 65, you need to hear this, because what you do in the first few minutes after waking up could quietly decide your health, your strength, even your future. Most people think their morning routine is harmless, but one simple habit could actually triple your risk of stroke. This isn't about fear, it's about protection. The truth is, your body changes after 65, and what once felt normal might now be putting silent pressure on your heart and brain. So before we dive into this vital health guide that could change the way you start every morning, I want to know, where are you watching this from? Tell me in the comments below, and let's begin this journey to a stronger, safer, and healthier life together. Number one, rising too quickly from bed. There is a silent danger that often goes unnoticed in the quiet moments of dawn. When the body, especially after the age of 65, is abruptly lifted from the safety of rest into a standing position, the sudden drop in blood pressure can trigger dizziness, imbalance, and in some cases, a serious risk of stroke. This phenomenon, known in medical terms as orthostatic hypotension, is more common with aging because the body's natural mechanisms that regulate blood flow and stabilize pressure slow down over time. Imagine this through the story of a gentleman in his 70s who was once a vigorous runner in his youth. One morning, he leapt from bed the way he used to decades earlier, only to feel the world spinning around him. His wife later recalled how he nearly collapsed before she caught him. The doctors explained that his body no longer adjusted as swiftly as it once did. That morning mistake could have ended very differently. Scientific studies confirm the seriousness of this risk. A 2018 study published in the journal Neurology found that older adults experiencing frequent episodes of sudden blood pressure drops were significantly more likely to suffer from strokes and even cognitive decline. The brain, deprived of steady blood flow even for a short moment, can be vulnerable to long-term damage. Research suggests that people over 65 who rise too quickly from bed have nearly a threefold increase in their risk of stroke compared to those who allow their body a gradual transition. The human body after 65 carries decades of wear and wisdom, but also physiological changes that demand respect. Arteries lose some of their flexibility, the heart pumps less efficiently under stress, and the nervous system that once reacted in seconds now takes longer to respond. These changes are not signs of weakness. They are natural parts of aging. What matters is learning how to adapt daily habits to keep the body safe. Rising from bed is one of the simplest yet most overlooked moments where adaptation makes all the difference. Medical experts emphasize safety and personalization. Not every individual will experience the same intensity of dizziness or imbalance. Some may take medications for blood pressure, heart disease, or diabetes, which can further increase vulnerability. This is why doctors recommend a tailored morning routine. Instead of jumping upright, the safer approach is to slowly roll onto the side, let the legs dangle gently from the bed, and then pause to take a few breaths before standing. Even adding 30 to 60 seconds of this pause can give the cardiovascular system time to adjust. Small actions bring powerful results. Placing a glass of water by the bedside to drink before rising can help stabilize circulation. Stretching the arms and flexing the ankles while still lying down activates blood flow to the muscles. Simple as these practices sound, they provide the body with a smoother transition from rest to movement. The lesson here is not about avoiding life's risks entirely, but about respecting the body's needs with wisdom. Aging gracefully does not mean surrendering strength. It means using knowledge to protect vitality. Rising carefully each morning is not merely a ritual of safety. It is a daily act of self-care that honors both science and experience. By adopting this gentle approach, the risk of falls, strokes, and injuries is reduced, while the day begins with intention, clarity, and confidence. Number two, skipping water in the morning. Every morning, before a single step is taken or a word is spoken, the body quietly calls for hydration. After 7 to 8 hours of sleep, the body has lost a considerable amount of fluid simply through breathing and natural processes. Yet many people over the age of 65 begin their day without replenishing this loss, often turning first to coffee or tea instead of water. This seemingly harmless choice has profound consequences. Dehydration thickens the blood, places added strain on the heart, and increases the risk of clot formation, a leading cause of stroke. Consider the story of a retired teacher from Ohio who admitted she often skipped drinking water in the morning. She preferred starting her day with a steaming cup of black coffee, believing it gave her the energy she needed. After several dizzy spells and one alarming episode of fainting, her doctor discovered she was severely dehydrated most mornings. By making one simple adjustment, drinking a full glass of water before coffee, her blood pressure stabilized, her energy improved, and she regained a sense of security in her daily life. Science strongly supports this simple habit. Research published in the Journal of Clinical Nutrition shows that older adults are far more susceptible to dehydration because the body's thirst mechanism becomes less sensitive with age. What feels like a mild dryness is often already significant fluid loss. Studies also highlight that even a 2% decrease in hydration can impair cognitive function, reduce alertness, and increase cardiovascular strain. When blood is thicker due to dehydration, it is more likely to clot, and clots are a major contributor to ischemic strokes. For adults over 65, beginning the day dehydrated can silently triple this risk. The aging process naturally reduces total body water content. Muscles, which hold a large portion of water, diminish with age, and kidney function also declines, making fluid regulation less efficient. This means that an older body not only needs hydration but also must receive it consistently. The danger of skipping water in the morning is not simply about thirst. It is about placing the cardiovascular and nervous systems under unnecessary stress right at the start of the day. From a safety perspective, doctors emphasize personalized hydration strategies. Not everyone needs the same amount of water at once, especially those with heart or kidney conditions who may require regulated fluid intake. Still, most older adults benefit from at least 8 to 12 ounces of water upon waking. This first glass serves as a reset for circulation, digestion, and brain function. For those with medical restrictions, even smaller, measured amounts taken regularly throughout the morning provide similar benefits without risk. Practical solutions can make this habit effortless. Keeping a glass or bottle of water by the bedside acts as a visual reminder. Some find it encouraging to add a slice of lemon for flavor and a small boost of vitamin C. Others prefer room temperature water, which feels gentler on the stomach after waking. What matters most is creating a consistent ritual that feels natural and rewarding. The greater lesson is that prevention often lies in the smallest choices. Skipping water in the morning may seem minor, but over years it accumulates into a heavy burden on health. Choosing to hydrate before coffee, before food, and before rushing into the demands of the day is more than a physical act. It is a statement of self-respect. For those over 65, this small daily commitment provides strength, stability, and peace of mind, while protecting the heart and brain from preventable harm. Number 3, skipping breakfast. Older adults who regularly skip breakfast have a significantly higher risk of stroke and cardiovascular disease, reported a study published in the Journal of the American College of Cardiology. This statement may sound shocking, but the numbers behind it are even more sobering. Researchers tracked over 6,500 participants for more than 20 years and found that those who routinely skipped breakfast were 87% more likely to die from cardiovascular-related causes. For adults over 65, where both metabolism and circulation are already under strain, the morning meal becomes less of a casual choice and more of a critical safeguard for health. The human body functions like a finely tuned engine, requiring fuel to start and run smoothly. After an overnight fast, glucose levels are at their lowest, and the brain, which consumes about 20% of the body's energy, is hungry for replenishment. Skipping breakfast leaves the body running on reserves, forcing it into a state of stress that elevates cortisol levels, spikes blood pressure, and places greater demand on the heart. Over time, this repeated stress can trigger plaque buildup in arteries, one of the leading pathways to stroke. One compelling example comes from a retired farmer in Iowa who, after decades of early rising, admitted he often went straight to work in the fields without eating breakfast. He thought skipping meals kept him lean and disciplined. Yet in his mid-70 seconds, he began experiencing frequent lightheadedness and memory lapses. After medical evaluation, his physician explained that his habit of working long hours without morning nourishment was depriving his brain of stable glucose, contributing to his worsening cognitive function. By introducing a balanced breakfast of oatmeal, berries, and a boiled egg, his energy stabilized, his mental sharpness improved, and his risk factors for stroke declined. The science is clear. Skipping breakfast has been linked to higher rates of hypertension, insulin resistance, and increased LDL cholesterol. In older adults, these risks compound because aging naturally reduces metabolic flexibility. The pancreas becomes less efficient at regulating blood sugar, and arteries stiffen with time. A consistent morning meal helps regulate these delicate processes by providing steady glucose, fiber, and essential nutrients that ease the burden on the cardiovascular system. From a medical safety perspective, personalization matters. Not every breakfast needs to be large, and not every body tolerates the same foods. Some may thrive on whole grains and fruit, while others benefit from protein-rich options such as yogurt or eggs. For individuals managing diabetes or high blood pressure, the emphasis should be on complex carbohydrates and lean proteins, avoiding processed sugars that can cause dangerous spikes in blood sugar. What is universally advised, however, is not to skip the meal entirely. Culturally, breakfast in America has long been seen as the meal that sets the tone for the day. In families across generations, from rural farms to bustling cities, the morning table was a place of nourishment and connection. Reviving this tradition, even in a simple way, can bring both physical benefits and emotional comfort. Sharing breakfast with a spouse, a friend, or even preparing it as a personal ritual can transform it from a duty into a moment of grounding joy. Practical steps are straightforward. Preparing overnight oats, keeping hard-boiled eggs in the fridge, or having a smoothie ready to blend in the morning makes the habit easy to maintain. Even a modest meal, a slice of whole grain toast with peanut butter and a banana, can provide enough energy to stabilize blood sugar and protect the cardiovascular system. The deeper lesson is that health often hinges on consistency, not complexity. Skipping breakfast seems harmless in the moment, but over years it silently weakens the body's defenses against stroke. For those over 65, a mindful, nourishing breakfast is not simply food on the plate. It is protection for the brain, the heart, and the independence that makes life meaningful. Number 4. High sugar breakfast choices. When a grandmother from Ohio sat down every morning to a large frosted pastry and a cup of sweetened coffee, she believed she was treating herself to a small joy in her retirement years. It felt harmless, even comforting, but within a decade, her health told a different story. She developed type 2 diabetes. Her blood pressure crept dangerously high, and one morning she suffered a minor stroke that left her with lingering weakness in her right arm. Her doctor later explained that her daily breakfast routine, loaded with refined sugar, was one of the silent drivers of her decline. This story is not an isolated case. Across America, many older adults reach for quick breakfast options: donuts, muffins, sugary cereals, flavored lattes, believing a little sweetness in the morning is a harmless indulgence. Yet research published in the journal Stroke has shown that diets high in added sugars are strongly associated with increased risk of stroke, especially for individuals over 65. The reason is both simple and sobering. Excess sugar rapidly spikes blood glucose, forcing the pancreas to release large amounts of insulin. This repeated cycle damages blood vessels, stiffens arteries, and accelerates inflammation in the brain. Over time, it creates the perfect environment for clots to form and block blood flow to critical areas of the brain. From the perspective of aging physiology, the danger intensifies. As the body grows older, it loses its ability to process sugar efficiently. Muscle mass declines, reducing the storage capacity for glucose, while insulin sensitivity weakens. This means the same sugary muffin that a younger adult might tolerate without consequence can pose a serious threat to someone in their late 60 seconds or 70 seconds. High sugar breakfasts also rob the brain of stable energy, leading to mid-morning fatigue, dizziness, and difficulty concentrating, all of which increase the likelihood of falls and accidents. Beyond the numbers, there is an emotional dimension to consider. Food is tied to memory, comfort, and culture. Sweet breakfasts often remind people of childhood treats or Sunday traditions. Completely removing them can feel like a loss. But the lesson is not about deprivation. It is about transformation. A retired teacher from Florida once replaced her morning pastry with Greek yogurt topped with fresh berries and a sprinkle of nuts. She admitted that the first week felt strange, almost disappointing. Yet within a month, she noticed her energy was steadier, her afternoon cravings vanished, and her doctor reported an improvement in her cholesterol levels. The change gave her not only better health, but also renewed confidence in her ability to adapt and thrive. Medical safety demands personalization here as well. For those living with diabetes or prediabetes, even natural sugars must be approached with balance. Pairing fruit with protein, such as apple slices with peanut butter, slows glucose absorption and keeps levels steady. Choosing whole grain bread with almond butter instead of white toast with jam makes a small but powerful difference. What matters most is not cutting out every trace of sweetness, but avoiding the hidden sugars in processed foods and being intentional with choices. The message is clear. A high-sugar breakfast is not a harmless pleasure, but a hidden threat, especially for adults over 65. The morning meal should prepare the brain and body for the day, with nourishment that supports circulation, focus, and vitality. By shifting from sugary habits to balanced, nutrient-dense options, older adults not only reduce their stroke risk, but also reclaim a sense of control over their health. Each morning then becomes not just another day, but another opportunity to protect the heart, preserve independence, and embrace life with strength and clarity. Number 5, skipping morning movement. What happens to the body when it greets the day with stillness instead of motion? This question is not just about energy or flexibility. It is about life itself. Skipping movement in the morning is one of the most overlooked habits that quietly raises the risk of stroke after 65. The human body is designed for motion. During sleep, circulation slows, muscles stiffen, and blood tends to pool in the lower extremities. When the first hours of the morning pass without any physical activity, blood flow remains sluggish and more prone to clotting. A clinical review from the American Heart Association highlights that prolonged sedentary behavior, especially after waking, increases vascular stiffness and raises the risk of clot formation. In fact, researchers found that older adults who failed to engage in morning activity had significantly higher rates of cardiovascular complications compared to those who incorporated even light exercises such as walking or stretching. This is not only a matter of physiology, but also of psychology and culture. In America, many people grew up equating mornings with hurried routines, coffee, breakfast, the newspaper, while movement was something reserved for later in the day or formal exercise sessions. But research increasingly shows that what we do in the first hour after waking sets the rhythm for the entire cardiovascular system. By skipping movement, the body remains trapped in a state of sluggish circulation, making it more vulnerable to stroke. There are countless real-life examples of how small adjustments can transform mornings. A retired teacher in Ohio, who once struggled with dizziness and morning headaches, shared how a physician encouraged her to adopt a 5-minute stretching routine upon waking. She began with gentle neck rolls, slow shoulder movements, and ankle rotations before leaving her bed. Within a few weeks, she noticed not only less stiffness, but also sharper focus and better mood. Her family observed she was steadier on her feet, and her fear of sudden imbalance began to fade. The science behind this is clear. Gentle morning movements enhance cerebral blood flow, improve vascular elasticity, and activate the autonomic nervous system, which regulates heart rate and blood pressure. It is not about intense exercise or long workouts. Something as simple as standing up slowly, taking deep breaths, and walking around the house can make a meaningful difference. Studies have shown that light physical activity performed within the first hour of waking reduces blood viscosity and lowers the likelihood of clot formation, a key trigger for strokes in older adults. Safety, however, must always be personalized. For individuals with arthritis, balance concerns, or heart conditions, movement should be tailored under professional guidance. That may mean beginning with chair stretches, slow seated marches, or gentle yoga poses supported by a wall or sturdy furniture. The key is consistency and listening to the body. Even minimal motion done daily creates a protective rhythm that supports both heart and brain. The lesson here is profound yet empowering. Skipping morning movement is not a harmless choice. It is a missed opportunity to awaken the body's natural defenses. Choosing motion, however modest, is a declaration of resilience and self-respect. Every stretch, every step, every deep breath is an act of protection, a reminder that vitality after 65 is not an accident, but the result of conscious, compassionate care for the body. Morning becomes not just a beginning, but a chance to safeguard independence and extend the gift of life. Number 6, starting the day with stress. It may come as a shocking truth, but research shows that the very first emotional state in the morning can alter the body's stroke risk more than most people realize. Contrary to the old belief that stress is simply a matter of mind over mood, scientists now understand that beginning the day under pressure triggers a cascade of biological reactions that directly harm blood vessels and increase the likelihood of clot formation, especially after age 65. A study published in the journal Stroke found that older adults who consistently experienced high stress in the morning had nearly a threefold increase in cardiovascular events compared to those who began the day with calm routines. This is because the body releases a surge of cortisol and adrenaline in response to stress, elevating blood pressure, thickening the blood, and making arteries less flexible. Over time, this repeated morning stress becomes a silent but deadly factor, raising the chance of a stroke far more than many physical risk factors. Consider the life of a retired postal worker from Michigan who described mornings as his busiest battlefield. He would wake up and immediately feel overwhelmed by unpaid bills, medical appointments, and the weight of caring for his spouse with dementia. His mornings were marked by racing thoughts and a pounding heart. When his physician finally measured his blood pressure upon waking, the numbers were alarmingly high, even before his first cup of coffee. With guidance, he began practicing 5 minutes of morning breathing exercises and created a simple routine of writing down the 3 most important tasks for the day, instead of allowing his mind to spiral. Within 2 months, his blood pressure stabilized, his sleep improved, and most importantly, his risk profile for stroke significantly lowered. The mechanism is clear. When stress floods the system upon waking, blood vessels constrict, and the heart is forced to work harder. For older adults whose arteries are already more rigid due to aging, this combination can be catastrophic. What makes this finding so counterintuitive is that many people think stress is an inevitable part of life and that pushing through it is a sign of strength. In reality, ignoring morning stress places unnecessary strain on the brain and heart, while managing it gently adds years of vitality. Practical strategies are surprisingly accessible. Instead of waking to news alerts or urgent emails, one can choose to wake with calming music, a brief gratitude practice, or gentle stretching. Some older adults benefit from a short walk in the backyard or on a quiet street, letting natural light reset their circadian rhythm and calm their nervous system. Even something as simple as sipping a glass of water slowly while focusing on deep breathing can help regulate cortisol levels and reduce vascular strain. Safety and personalization matter. For individuals with anxiety disorders or depression, professional guidance through therapy or structured mindfulness programs can be essential. For those with cardiovascular conditions, stress management techniques should be coordinated with a physician to ensure compatibility with medications and overall care plans. The real lesson is that starting the day with stress is not just an emotional burden, but a physiological hazard. Morning can either be the hour that primes the body for protection or the spark that ignites hidden risks. Choosing calm is not indulgence, it is medicine. By intentionally beginning the day with peace, older adults can reclaim their mornings, safeguard their health, and create a foundation of resilience that ripples through every hour that follows. Number 7, skipping prescribed medications. Missing your morning pills is not just a small mistake. It is a hidden danger that can quietly triple your risk of a major stroke after 65, warns Dr. Stephen Greenberg, a leading neurologist at Massachusetts General Hospital. This statement may sound severe, but it reflects decades of medical evidence. Skipping prescribed medications, especially those for blood pressure, cholesterol, or atrial fibrillation, removes the very shield that protects the aging brain from catastrophic events. The mechanism is simple but unforgiving. Medications prescribed for older adults are often designed to maintain stability, preventing sudden spikes in blood pressure, irregular heart rhythms, or dangerous clot formation. When even one dose is missed in the morning, the body's delicate balance is disrupted. A study from the American Heart Association revealed that older adults who skipped their blood pressure medications in the morning faced a nearly 40% higher risk of stroke within the same day. This is because blood pressure naturally rises in the morning due to hormonal changes, and without medication to control this surge, fragile arteries can rupture or clots can travel to the brain. There is a real story of a 72-year-old teacher from Texas who had been prescribed blood pressure and anticoagulant medications. She often skipped her morning doses, believing that missing once or twice wouldn't matter. After an episode of dizziness while gardening, she was rushed to the hospital and diagnosed with a minor stroke. Her neurologist explained that her missed medications created windows of vulnerability when her body was unprotected from stroke triggers. With proper education, she adopted a pill organizer, set alarms, and never missed a dose again. Since then, her health has remained stable, and she has become an advocate in her community, encouraging peers not to underestimate the power of consistency. Beyond the biological risk, skipping medication reflects a deeper psychological challenge many older adults face. Some feel overwhelmed by the number of pills, others question whether long-term use is necessary, and some simply forget. This is why safety and personalization are critical. Tools like weekly pill boxes, smartphone reminders, or even linking medication with a daily ritual such as breakfast can dramatically reduce the chance of missed doses. For individuals with memory concerns, caregivers or pharmacists can play an essential role in setting up safe, reliable systems. The danger lies not only in the missed dose, but also in the false sense of security it creates. Many believe that nothing bad happened last time, which reinforces the habit of skipping. However, medical evidence is clear. The cumulative risk builds silently, and the body rarely gives warning before a stroke occurs. Taking prescribed medications consistently is not just about following doctor's orders. It is about honoring the body's need for stability. Morning is when the brain is most vulnerable, and medication provides the armor that shields it. For older adults, skipping that protection even once can mean the difference between an active day and a life-altering event. The safest path is simple, reliable adherence, because every pill, every morning, is an investment in years of independence and vitality. Number 8. Ignoring early body signals. Imagine 2 mornings. In one, an older adult notices a brief dizziness, a slight numbness in the hand, or trouble finding the right word, but brushes it off as just getting older. In the other, that same adult recognizes the change, seeks medical advice immediately, and prevents a devastating stroke. The contrast between these 2 paths is striking. One leads to loss and disability, the other preserves independence and life. This simple choice often decides the outcome. Ignoring early body signals is one of the most dangerous morning mistakes after 65. Research from the National Institute of Neurological Disorders and Stroke shows that nearly 30% of strokes are preceded by transient symptoms such as brief vision changes, slurred speech, or weakness in a limb. These are called transient ischemic attacks, often described as mini-strokes. While they may last only a few minutes and disappear, they are not harmless. Instead, they are red flags, urgent warnings that a major stroke could follow within days or even hours. The physiology is clear. When the brain's blood supply is temporarily disrupted, the body sends subtle messages: tingling, imbalance, blurred vision, or sudden fatigue. These symptoms are the nervous system's cry for help. Dismissing them as minor or blaming them on age allows the underlying problem, often high blood pressure or blocked arteries, to progress unchecked. By the time the next signal comes, it may be a full stroke with irreversible damage. One story often shared in medical circles is that of a 8-year-old veteran from Ohio. He experienced a sudden weakness in his right arm while pouring coffee, lasting less than 2 minutes. He laughed it off, attributing it to sleeping on the arm wrong. 2 days later, he suffered a massive stroke that left him partially paralyzed. His doctors explained that those fleeting symptoms were his body's chance to warn him. The outcome could have been entirely different had he acted on that first signal. This highlights the importance of not only awareness, but also education. Older adults must be taught that the body is always communicating, and changes should never be ignored. Simple actions such as keeping a journal of unusual symptoms, telling a family member immediately, or calling a doctor can transform outcomes. Emergency protocols like dialing 911 at the first sign of facial drooping, arm weakness, or speech difficulty save lives every day across America. There is also a psychological aspect. Many people hesitate to speak up about symptoms, fearing they will be a burden to their family or appear overly anxious. Yet true strength lies in acknowledging vulnerability and acting quickly. Just as ignoring a small fire can burn down a house, dismissing the body's signals can erase years of independence. The safest approach is simple. Treat every unusual symptom as important until proven otherwise. Mourning is when strokes often begin, and early detection is the difference between recovery and lifelong disability. Recognizing and respecting the body's signals is not weakness, it is wisdom. It is the act of protecting one's future, preserving dignity, and ensuring that each day is lived with vitality and security. The core lesson is simple yet profound. True health after 60 is not built on fear or excess. It is built on awareness, balance, and love for your own body. For years, many have been taught that more vitamins, more supplements, more effort automatically mean better health. But the truth is, your body at this stage doesn't need more. It needs understanding. Each pill, each habit, and each choice has power to heal or to harm. The secret lies in knowing the difference. Aging is not a decline. It's a transition, a new season that demands wisdom, not speed. Your body has carried you through decades of laughter, loss, growth, and discovery. Now it speaks more softly, through small signals, fatigue, dizziness, thirst, or restlessness. Listening to those whispers is an act of self-respect. Ignoring them, on the other hand, can lead to the very risks you've spent a lifetime trying to prevent. So before you reach for another tablet of vitamin C, E, calcium, zinc, or magnesium, pause and ask, what does my body truly need today? Science teaches us that balance, not abundance, is what sustains life. Just as too much water can drown a flower meant to bloom, too much of even the healthiest nutrient can stress the body. Wisdom comes when you stop chasing more and start embracing enough. Aging gracefully means mastering the art of moderation, understanding that small, consistent acts of care matter far more than any miracle cure. You don't need to fight time. You need to walk with it, hydrating your body before your morning coffee, rising slowly to greet the day, nourishing yourself with real food, moving with purpose, and keeping your heart calm before the rush begins. These simple choices build invisible armor, protecting your brain, your heart, and your independence. So let this be your reminder. Aging well isn't about resisting change, but aligning with it. Every glass of water, every gentle stretch, every mindful breath is a declaration that you still choose life, health, and presence. Don't let marketing promises or fear dictate your choices. Let wisdom guide you instead. Thank you for watching this video. If you found this message valuable, please share it so others can protect their health too. And if this is your first time visiting our channel, or if you haven't yet subscribed, join us today so you never miss our next stories about health, wisdom, and the art of aging well. We'd love to hear your thoughts. What lessons have you learned from your own journey? Leave your reflections below. Thank you for being here, and may you continue to live each day with strength, peace, and joy in this precious season of life.